Egypt, the world's first superpower. Egypt was the world's first major superpower. The city of pharaohs belonged to this Egypt. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had already clearly stated before his passing that Muslims would eventually conquer Egypt. However, he also advised treating the common people of Egypt with kindness because they were like family. Shortly after the Prophet's passing, under the leadership of Umar ibn Khattab, Muslims defeated the Roman and Persian empires, conquering vast territories. However, soon after, a major problem arose. A deadly disease spread rapidly in these newly conquered lands. This not only slowed the Muslim army's progress but also led to the martyrdom of several top generals. With the loss of these experienced generals, new leaders had to step up. Hazrat Umar appointed new commanders and made Amr ibn al as the army chief of the region. Over time, the disease began to disappear. When Hazrat Umar received this news in Medina, he decided to travel personally to assess the situation. Before leaving, he entrusted the control of Medina and the entire Arabian Peninsula to Hazrat Ali. If anything were to happen to him, Hazrat Ali would automatically become the next caliph. Upon reaching Syria, Hazrat Umar met with Amr ibn al-As. The new army chief presented a bold strategy. Rather than stopping, they should advance toward new lands, particularly Egypt. But why Egypt? Muslims could have marched toward the Roman Empire's capital, yet Egypt was no ordinary place. For thousands of years, it had been one of the wealthiest and most powerful regions in the world. Why was Egypt a superpower? Around 5,000 years ago, the most crucial resource in the world was water. Whoever controlled the largest water sources held the power. Since ancient times, the world's largest river, the Nile, had been in Egypt. As people from different regions settled around this river, Egypt became the most dominant and wealthy civilization. One man, King Narmer, united Egypt and established the world's first kingdom. Over the next 1,000 years, the Egyptian empire became even stronger, ruling the world. As the pharaohs gained power, they began to believe they were not just kings but gods. They introduced a religion that declared the pharaoh to be a divine figure. According to their belief, ordinary people could only reach paradise by serving and obeying the pharaoh. Gradually, their belief system evolved further. They introduced the idea that not all pharaohs were gods, only those whose bodies remained preserved after death. This led to a race among pharaohs to preserve their bodies, which gave rise to the concept of mummies. When a pharaoh died, ancient Egyptian surgeons first drained all blood from the body. They then inserted a hook through the nose to pull out the brain. All organs, except the heart, were removed and stored in jars. The empty body was soaked in a special saltwater solution for 40 days to prevent decay. After that, the body was carefully stuffed with sand to retain its shape, coated with honey and oils, wrapped in white cloth strips, and finally sealed in an expensive coffin. The rise of pyramids. Over time, pharaohs went beyond mummification and began constructing massive buildings over their tombs. Initially, these were simple temples, but they gradually grew larger, giving birth to pyramids. Every pharaoh wanted his pyramid to be bigger than the previous one, leading to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the largest structure in the world for 3,500 years. Even after the construction of churches and towers, the Great Pyramid remained the heaviest structure. Even today, 12 Burj Khalifa skyscrapers combined would weigh less than this single pyramid. However, building such massive pyramids drained Egypt's economy. The size of pyramids gradually reduced, and Egypt's economic power weakened. For the first time in thousands of years, Egypt was on the verge of losing its superpower status. Prophet Yusuf, Joseph, and Egypt's economy. During this time, a young boy was sold as a slave in an Egyptian market. He was extraordinarily handsome, which led a powerful Egyptian minister to adopt him. This boy, Yusuf, Joseph, peace be upon him, eventually became Egypt's prime minister. With the pharaoh, he implemented economic policies that revived Egypt's declining power. However, after his passing, his descendants, Bani Israel, the children of Israel, remained in Egypt and grew into a powerful community. Eventually, a new pharaoh rose to power and turned against them, enslaving them for 400 years. This pharaoh feared a prophecy that a child from Bani Israel would be born who would overthrow him. To prevent this, he ordered the execution of all newborn Israelite boys. However, the child he was meant to fear, Moses, peace be upon him, was raised in his own palace. Years later, Prophet Musa confronted Pharaoh and demanded the freedom of Bani Israel. After witnessing many miracles, Pharaoh finally allowed them to leave Egypt. However, he soon broke his promise and chased them with his army. As he approached, Allah split the sea, allowing Prophet Musa and his people to cross safely, while Pharaoh and his army drowned. The fall of Egypt's superpower. Despite its mighty empire, ancient Egyptian records make no mention of Prophet Musa. However, historians agree that after the pharaoh of Musa's time, believed to be Ramses II, Egypt never regained its former power. This marked the beginning of Egypt's decline. Soon, King Suleiman, peace be upon him, established a new superpower in Palestine. Over time, Egypt grew weaker, falling under the control of different empires, including Alexander the Great. Eventually, the Roman Empire conquered Egypt and ruled for 600 years, making it impossible for any other power to take over. But after 6 centuries, the time had come for the prophecy of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to be fulfilled. Under Caliph Umar ibn Khattab, the Muslims